Welcome to Holy Foley, a podcast dedicated to the world of performative film sound. This is your host, Dr. Vanessa Theme Ament. Today's guest is Foley Artist Gadou Naudin and his son, Foley Mixer Louis Gaudin. Hello, everybody. This is Holy Foley, and I'm Dr. Vanessa Theme Ament, and I am very excited. I have two special guests today with me. This is Foley Artist Gadou Naudin and his son, Louis. They are in France, and they are referred to as Foley Artists. Sometimes they're called noisemakers or les broutiers. I hope I had said that right. They work at the studio Malakoff, where Gadou is part owner, and they work in both television and film. Some of the projects are Sugar, which is I'm watching right now, which is a wonderful show. Et plus une infinité, Simon Coleman, and John Wick Chapter 4, which I love because I like the John Wick series. So welcome, Gadou and Louis. So
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
And as I had mentioned to you before we got started, I interviewed your brother Julien when he was working in Denmark for the second edition of the Foley Grail, and we had such a wonderful conversation. And I learned a lot about the French style, the whole long history of the beginning of what happened at the beginning of at the end of World War I with the two men. They were called les broutiers, doing the sound effects during the silent film era while the films were going. I learned the history of it. I learned about how your family is involved. So this is a family thing for the Naudin family. And that's kind of exciting to me. So there are two things about the way you do Foley that I have found really interesting. And I want to apprise the audience here why I'm particularly excited about talking to the two of you. First off, it's unusual for a family to work together in Foley, and there are several members of your family involved with Foley, and that's kind of exciting because you teach each other this and you get involved and work together and sometimes separately. So that's part of what's exciting about this. But the other thing is that there's always been, in my mind, a very independent nature in the French character. And I've always admired it. I have French family in my background, and I'm a fond purveyor of French film and French history, French philosophy. So it's near and dear to my heart. And when I studied French film as in my PhD work, I studied a lot about French cinema and French journals and French philosophy, and studied the left bank, right bank French cinema. And I studied, of course, the French Resistance, which we're all very proud of in World War II. But there's a really interesting approach to doing Foley that's different in France and has influenced other nations as they have started their own Foley systems. And that is that instead of the one Foley stage system, which America and Britain tends to use, what the French have done and what your family does, and I learned this from Julien, and now I know that Miguel in Spain, who is in an episode we have, has adopted, and it's influenced Turkey and it's influenced Canada and several other countries, is several different rooms set up in your studio that are made to be interior and some exterior, and they're adaptable. And we will show pictures because it's very interesting that you mic certain ways so that you have a lot of adaptability in your studio. Now, this is really interesting, and I'd like you to talk a bit about how you came up with these ways of doing sound.
Okay, so the point, it was one day a good friend of me called me. He said, okay, Gadou, I got a movie to do, but I can pay you, but I cannot pay the studio. So we are going to do this in my house. I said, okay, because I think you can do Foley everywhere on the world. You see what I mean? You don't really need a studio. You need silence, good microphone, good amplificator, and you need to have a Foley artist who can be crazy to do a movie. And he used to in his house to put microphone, preamplificator on the living room, on the bathroom, on the kitchen, and we start to do the movie, and it was the best sound I have not done. And in my day, it was, oh, it's perfect because the acoustic was perfect. It was just very simple. It was a house.
You really liked the sound of the acoustics.
Yes, sure. And now with Louis, now we have built a new studio. And now Malakoff Studio, it's like a factory, or we build room. You see what I mean? And we make good acoustic. We as we feel. And now we have make now with Louis a new studio, and we have my house. And now we do Foley in a real house.
Yeah.
We have done this studio now since 1 year.
Yeah.
And we have finished on this house John Wick 4. We have done Sugar
too.
We have done also, we work 1 month before with Monsieur Denzel Washington, like producer. And we have made the movie of his son, Malcolm Washington. And the name of the movie for Netflix, it's The Piano Lesson. It was a beautiful movie.
Piano Lesson?
The Piano Lesson, yes.
Yeah, is that based on the play?
Yes.
Oh, I saw the play. It's a wonderful play.
It's based on an old movie.
August Wilson's play.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
And
Yes,
we have
I
done
saw
this
the
movie
play.
on our new studio, because now Louis and we decide to don't live in Paris because we want to live on the south of France. So we buy a house.
Well, I don't blame you for wanting to live in the south of France. That's really,
yes.
I don't blame you.
And now, and now since now 1 year with Louis and one of my partner, who was in Paris, we make the best studio, the best Foley studio of my life, because the sound is perfect. We put cable on off the studio, TV, and a car. We can do Foley on the garage. We can do Foley outside. We can do Foley on the swimming pool. We do Foley on the kitchen. We have a specific room for the wood we built. And for Sugar, all the wood floor for Sugar we have done here, and the sound was so perfect. And as it's my studio, we spend most hours on studio. We don't work 8 hours in studio. We work sometimes for 14 hours by day.
So instead of having the tradition of you being hired to, somebody else is making the decisions and then you're doing the Foley based on someone else's decisions, you're just getting the work and then you're looking at it, you're saying we need to do these sounds for it, and so that you're creating the whole design of it.
Yes. And for Sugar, we have made so many sounds. We have made all the machine for oil. We have made all the car. We have made all the fight. We have made a lot of sound. We have made all the black and white picture of the movie, and it was super nice to do it. We do everything on Sugar. We will do all the sea. We have do all the water, the sea. When Colin Farrell walk on the beach, it's in LA on the pier. We make all the waves. You see what I mean?
All the waves.
We like to do music. You see what I mean? And sometimes when we do step for one guy, it's 4 tracks only step for one guy, and we mix different shoes to have the good color. You see what I mean?
Right.
So we like to do a lot. We like to do sound.
And when you add sounds that are not from a sound bank, you add a lot of grain to the movie. So it's nice to have sound editors, sound designers that have kind of the same sound base, but it's good to add the Foley layer to it, to have like a nice bass and some weird stuff.
So I want you to say that again, so I'm sure I understand. What do you add? What would you consider the bass?
Well, for some fix, for example, on John Wick, sound editors have made part of the files, and we have done some stuff that, and everything just joined together create a really good.
So do
sound.
you have the you're listening to the production track and adding things into the production track, or do you not have the production track?
For John Wick, I think there was no real hit, so
Est-ce qu'on
Do you
avait un
have
bounce?
ouais.
The production track that was
Ah,
Non, le direct en fait.
ah, no, because the production track is very clean, so we have only dialogue.
the dialogue track. You do have
Dialogue,
that though.
we have dialogue, music, and like this we can do, and it's very important to work with the music because I think the most important on the movie is dialogue first,
Right.
music, and after Foley. So I think a good Foley artist must be clever to make the sound, and also the thing we do that they don't do in Hollywood. We used to do the premix of the Foley. So when we deliver to Anil Blanc or for John Wick, okay, for John Wick it was like 7 weeks Foley, 7 weeks editing, and I used to manage with Louis to do the premix. So when we give our job to the soundman, it's not like a lot of shit of Foley. Everything is on control, everything is on place, everything at the good level. When John Wick talk, we take care about have not too much step, etc., etc., etc.
So the way that we do it in the United States is it would go to an editor too, just to tighten up any sync that isn't right. But what I'm also wondering is, while you're doing your Foley, are there sound editors cutting in like the wind and the car crashes and other things like that at the same time, or are they doing it after you do your Foley?
Yes. They work on the same time. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And on John Wick, they tell us, okay, maybe do this, maybe don't do this.
That's what I thought.
And after they come back, and there's a thing very fun on John Wick. On John Wick, there's a specific bullet. The name is Dragon Ball.
Dragonfire.
Dragonfire. And when they shoot, the guy have a flame. You see what I mean?
Right.
And at the end of the movies, they call us, okay, Gadou, we have problem with Dragonfire. Maybe can you try something? And we have done the Dragonfire by accident. And tu racontes l'histoire?
Non, vas-y toi.
Okay, I was on the Foley room. I put a microphone close to two wall, and I have to do, I must make a sound of a rock who go out the wall. Okay, a guy shoot on the wall and like this.
Debris sounds.
And Lulu used to record, and my mistake, I take gravel and I put gravel inside the mic, and Louis said, "Wow, what is it's?" And we listened. The sound was perfect, and sometimes in Foley, you do sound by accident. Sometimes we make sound and say, "Okay, this sound please take reel 1 or take reel 2," and we put this sound. So sometimes Foley it's magic.
Yes, sometimes it is magic.
The Dragon Ball, it was an accident.
So how did all of your family, did your family just teach each other? How many of you and your family are involved in Foley? How many of you in your family?
Four. So Gadou's father, André, was the first one.
André? Well, who trained your father in Foley? Who trained André?
His name is Jean Rodot. Jean Rodot, yes, it was a Foley artist. My father used to work like comedian in the Club Med, and he meet Jean Rodot, and he used to make, yes, he meet Jean Rodot in Club Med, and when he come back in Paris, okay, André, you are comedian, but you must try to do Foley artist. I think you can be good. He used to work on American series. The Untouchable, he used to work on The Untouchable, it was a black and white TV show, and he started with this kind of movie, my father.
Yeah. From 1959.
1959,
yeah.
The Untouchable. It was a policeman's TV show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because when American movies and series came to France, they had to do like French dialogue, so they had to do some Foley.
Oh, because we weren't doing the foreign versions then. So you
Yeah.
had to redo the sound and put the French
Yes,
language in.
French ADR, and that's why. And when you start, you have only one tracks to record Foley. Only one tracks to record Foley. Imagine.
How long does it normally take you to work on a television show, like one episode?
Depends.
It depends on the model.
No, because
So there isn't a standard time that you have to
it
work
depends
on an
if
episode?
if the episode is 15 minutes or 52, you know. But
in France, we have to make one episode of 52 minutes. It's like 3 days.
Huh, that's a lot of time for a 1 hour show.
No, it's not. It's short. It's not. It's very short because
It's more time than we would get in the United States.
Okay, but maybe we do more.
Yeah, it could be that you are putting more
because we do
more
editing.
on sound effects here, perhaps.
Yes, also when we deliver for this TV show, we do editing Foley, we do the team, and we do the premix on these 3 days.
So do you have a basic philosophy of how you like to approach your work? Is there a way that you think about what your philosophy is on sound? Do you like it to be impressionistic? Do you like it to be precise? Are you more concerned with sync, or are you more concerned with the aesthetics? What is your basic philosophy?
I think the way I work, I never prepare a movie, and things it's normal because I am very things, and Louis also too. And it really depends on the movie where you have to be focused and when you want to give to the movie. You see what I mean? So it's new every day. It's new every movie. It's new. So we have not a solution to make a movie. When we start, we say, okay, we start a new movie. We need to have fun, and we must to give the best for the movie. Huh?
Yeah, for a lot of sounds, it's a lot of improv, you know, because you don't want to repeat yourself and to do the same sounds through all the movies that you do. So you have to create, keeping in mind that it's nice to try stuff and to use different material.
I want to talk to you about working on a John Wick film, because I'm a real fan of that franchise. And one of the things that I think is really unique about the John Wick franchise of the films is to me, I'm not a real fan of car chase action sequences. I think they get really boring, and I just sort of glass over and wait for the car chase to be over with in those kinds of films, but not the John Wick films, because they use action in a really intelligent way. And what I really notice about John Wick films is the action has a lot of intelligent choices for what is happening, and you can always tell where you are, what is happening, who the people are, what is coming at John Wick, where he's going, and what is happening next. And usually in action scenes and these big, loud, going on and on and on with action movies, you can't tell. It's just boom, 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 noise, noise, noise for 20 minutes. And you get a complete lack of sense of where you are, who's coming at you. It's just an assault on your senses. And I don't like that. But that's not what happens in a John Wick film. In a John Wick film, you can tell exactly where you are. You can tell exactly where John Wick, Keanu Reeves, is, who's coming at him, where it's coming from, how it had to relate to what just happened. why it's happening, what he's facing, why it's happening, what just happened, how it relates to what just happened. It all is logical and it all makes sense. It goes on for a really long time, but I'm never confused about where I am, where the camera's coming from, who the player is that's coming at him, why they're coming at him, what he just did. And even though it's relentless and it goes on and on,
Yes,
I
yes.
find that, and it's extremely precise and specific, and the movements are precise, and it all is so well choreographed.
Yes,
I
yes.
know
It's like,
exactly why everything is happening, who is coming at him, why they're coming at him, what just happened, and where he's going next. So as a Foley challenge, it's not messy. You can't get away with being messy in it the way you could in a regular action scene where it's just noise, 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 noise. This particular franchise, the action scenes are so clear and specific that you have to be very precise in the Foley. So I would imagine those action sequences are very challenging and take a lot of time. Can you talk a little bit about how you approach cut by cut and the characters and the footsteps and the prop work and the body hits and everything you have to do? Because those sequences must take a long time.
Yeah.
okay, tu vas, Loulou?
Yes, so because we worked together,
On John
I
Wick, yes.
recorded the sounds for 7 weeks, so I know a bunch. So for the big fight scenes, a normal day was to do between 2 to 3 minutes of fight, because a lot of sound to make, a lot to sync, a lot to premix, so that it's not a burden for the mixing engineer. So first of all, we always do the presence of the cloth. Then we do the steps, and then we do all the effects.
Les mains?
The
So
hands
you
too.
start
So
with the cloth. Do you do
Always,
one?
yes.
So you start with the cloth movement. Do you do one track of cloth for the whole sequence, or do you
Maybe for John Wick,
character specific?
or 5.
maybe for John Wick, maybe it's 5 track, only
Yeah.
that, only presence.
And so
Just a sense of the cloth presence.
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
what it does, it's like it does a layer of noise, and we can calibrate our sound levels on this, you know, which is really intelligent for us to like have a feeling of the characters and the scenes, then do all the steps they have to fit, and then all the effects.
And when at the end of the movie, John Wick make a lot of stairs to the Montmartre, and he go on Montmartre, he fall, he go on fall.
Right. When he's in Montmartre.
Very, very, very 1, 2, he turn, ta, 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 like a dancer. After he fall, he continue. He touched the metallic, and it was a big job, because everything must be very, very sync, very a new sound. Maybe for each step, it is not chick, chack, chook, chonk, chonk, chonk. And we used to do like music, yes, because after 10 minutes on the stage must be boring about sound. So we really take care for the level, for the color of the shoes, and very important for us.
So you have to really, that's interesting. You have to really pay attention to the shoes and how they're different, and how everybody's shoes, one of the things that I think Foley artists can get sloppy about is they can get overwhelmed by a scene like that and just not realize that by changing the shoes, you can get definition on all of the different characters, and it really helps.
And also that we really take care about, and I think in the way I work, we really take care about for the acoustic when we record. And when we use to record Foley, like step for John Wick, we really take care to be far away to the microphone, to make the good sound, not to have a clock, 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 you see what I mean? And this is the role of Louis when he record me, maybe use 4 weeks, 4 microphones together to make the good acoustic of John Wick. And that I think American Foley artists, I think they are very good, but they have not the opportunity to use, because I look a lot of American movie, and I think American Foley artists are so good, very, very good. But sometimes you can feel the acoustic of the room,
Yeah.
and maybe of the microphone is not the good way. So sometimes American call me, oh, I don't like American Foley artists. I say, okay, no, please take care. American artists are so good, but they have a style to do the Foley, and French have a style to do Foley. But you know, the way we work with Louis, French Foley artists don't work like this. A lot of Foley artists don't work with acoustic, or do not know microphone. You know, in this studio we got 15 different microphones. And until we change the microphone, we take care, maybe with this scene, we talk together, okay, we take this microphone for this, maybe we change for this, you see.
Wait, slow down. So you're saying that you might change the microphones in these scenes?
Yeah, sure.
So instead of using one microphone, this is interesting. Wait a minute. So you wouldn't record all of it using the same microphone. You might switch out the microphone.
Yes,
No.
We change a lot.
Because for different sounds, like for the bass, the mid, and the highs, the different technology of mics understand the sound really differently, and you have to know about mics and how they work, how they record sound differently. And the way we work with Gadou, and the way we did sounds for John Wick, for example, if I record Gadou with 4 mics at the same time, the 4 mics all go into one track. So what happens when you do that? You do a natural filtering, and by doing that, I filter the sound, which will have a more natural way of being in the picture, you know?
You've got microphones situated, you've got 4 microphones situated in various places around the room you're recording in. And you're setting them up in various ways, and then you're filtering them in through the one track you're recording in. And you're blending them to get a particular sound. Yeah,
so blending the 4 mics make the filtering.
But the system we use, we are the only who do like this. I know a lot of Foley artists in France, and some Foley artists use only one microphone, you see what I mean? They don't care about acoustic. They say, okay, to the mixage, je put reverb. But when we listen the Foley session, we never listen with reverb. Never.
I think it's only, I think the reason that we're still doing it the way we've always done it, and we're still doing it the way we've always done it, is, you know, the one microphone and maybe one more microphone that's either getting perspective. The way that we would normally do an exterior scene, fight outside, we would have the microphone fairly close so that there wouldn't be any room, and there might be baffles to keep any sort of reflection from entering the sound, because the re-recording mixers would want control over creating the atmosphere and to have it fit in with the production track. And then they want control over what the ambiance was going to be, because there'd be the backgrounds put in from the sound effects and stuff like that. If it was an interior, they would probably have a second microphone getting some reflection from the room. So they'd probably aim the microphone where the feet were going to be recorded, and then aim another microphone at the wall to get a little reflection bounce, to get a sense of interior sound.
Yes.
And some of the mixers who mix Foley will put a little interior reflective sound in through the way they record. That's a taste of some of the Foley mixers. Some of them do, some of them don't. It depends on who the re-recording mixers are going to be and the way they like to receive the material, because they all have a different way of receiving it. And it depends on who the re-recording mixers are and how they want it, because they all have a different way of doing it. And you have to know who your re-recording mixers are, because they'll tell you whether they want it recorded flat because they want to add in everything, or you need to know how it was recorded in production. They have to know all of that. They might even try to record it with the same microphone that was recorded in production. They might try to do that. But I think it's interesting. This is why I like to talk to people who work in other countries, because no two countries really are adapting the same practices. And
Yes,
one of the things that I know, being so Hollywood centric, because I've worked in Hollywood and I've worked in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I've worked at both Skywalker, and I've worked at what used to be Saul's Dance Fantasy. I know a lot of the people that work in New York, and they do it differently too. I know people who work in the Chicago area and Austin, but I've never worked outside of the United States. I've talked to people in many countries, and there's a different aesthetic of what it should sound like. No country had no professional sound community in any country, no film sound community in any country, and no film community in any country has the same aesthetic of what a film should sound like. So what I like to do is hear these different ideas, because having come from the Hollywood system, there's this belief that there's just this one way of doing it. And I don't agree with that, because it's just an aesthetic you get used to. New York tends to be more realistic than Hollywood. Hollywood is kind of hyper real, kind of bigger than life real. And and New York is more realistic, more earthy and grittier than Hollywood. So it's so interesting that you're using 4 microphones and then blending them in to go into one track.
Yeah.
I really hope someday that I can come and see what various people do.
Okay.
Yeah. I need a lot of money and a lot of time on airplanes and a lot of money for hotels.
Yes.
Because I'm so fascinated. It would be the most interesting book to just compare all of these different places, because I've always noticed that the French films, I'm a big fan of French film, a huge fan of French film. And the sound aesthetic is different, going all the way back to Monsieur Hulot films, which you
I love Les
I
Vacances
love Monsieur Hulot. And
yes, I love. And Jacques Tati was also Foley artist. He do it by himself the sound.
Yes, I know.
And he used to do the sound on one track, dialogue, music, sound editing, and Foley one track, and it's perfect. And now we have Atmos Studio, Atmos Cinema, and blah blah. Okay.
And for a long time, there was a tradition in Germany to sit down and do Foley, or do it on one foot. And I mean, there's just different traditions everywhere, and the sound aesthetic is so different. I remember when I watched Au revoir les enfants, noticing
Au revoir les enfants, oui.
Au revoir les enfants, because I love Louis Malle films. Listening to the sound and noticing how different it was and how differently it was used. So this is fascinating. So when you use these 4 microphones and you're blending the way you want it to sound, you're going to get a very different way of recording. And then you're making it sound either interior or exterior. How are you making it sound? When you're making it sound interior, then you need to get a certain reflection in the room.
I think if you have a too big room, Foley studio too big, it's nice for a producer, because the ref say, "Oh, you have a big studio, it's so nice. I know where I put my money." But I think you need to have a normal room, but with good reflection, good acoustic. And when I start, and on this house, I got a lot of big place, small place, normal place, and I know where I put the mic and how I have to do the sound. And if I have to make a Foley in hospital, I go to the big room, but I don't need high plafond, comment on dit?
Ceiling.
I don't need high ceiling because it's a mistake. You see, sometimes studio is very high. Say, oh, it's Foley room, it's high, but it's not good because when you do sound, the sound must stay close to the mic. And on a big room, the sound go out.
One of the things that I thought was really interesting when I was reading your website and how the rooms can be modified, it said we can make the room sound like a gymnasium or a hospital, and I mean, or a church. And I thought, boy, you know, it's interesting that you can make these small rooms sound more cavernous for a gymnasium or a church, because that has to sound cavernous with a real echoey kind of sound.
Yes, on the week we have church, and we
Yeah.
do this on the living room. You see what I mean? Because we have carrelage, we have wall, big, but it's large room, but not too much high. You see what I mean?
Right.
And we have a lot of things where the sound can have a reflection, a sofa, a TV, a cheminée, a table. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, this is fascinating. I really appreciate your time. This has been really interesting, and I hope we can do this again sometime. This has been a wonderful discussion, and it feels like it's just the beginning. We'll have to do this again sometime. I'm really enjoying this. Gadou and Louis.
And Louis,
thank you so much for letting me have this time with you.
Okay, and you have to know, we know this now since few days. For Sugar, we are nominated to Emmys for the Foley.
Ah ouais?
Yes.
I didn't know.
Okay.
So, I love that show. I just find it fascinating. It's a wonderful show.
Okay.
So have a lovely evening. I know it's late there, so thank you so much. This has been Holy Foley. I want to thank today's guests, Gadou Naudin and Louis Naudin. On our next episode, I will be speaking with Bobby Banks, who is an ADR editor and a supervising sound editor. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to this podcast so that you can be notified of all future episodes. All episodes are about the wonderful world of performative film sound, so please keep listening.